Hello everyone, it's Barry. Welcome back. Today we're going to discuss what is possibly the most difficult part of learning Chinese. Its tones. In episode 2, I told you all about the plethora of languages and dialects that exist in China. And guess what? All of them use tones. Some dialects have as many as 11. So let's take a moment to be thankful that Mandarin only has 4. Or 5 if you like to count the neutral tone. Whew, what a relief. But seriously, let's admit that Chinese people have a definite advantage over us English folks. No matter what dialect they speak, they're as accustomed to tones as they are to breathing. Plus, they well understand the importance of them. Us, not so much. We'll talk about the importance of tones in a moment, but first, let me tell you that tones may not be as foreign to you as you think. Let's think about the word what for a moment. Now imagine saying what to a very annoying coworker after you've worked through lunch or especially irritated and have had enough of them. Go ahead, talk to the screen. Say, "What?" in a very annoyed manner. Now imagine that your precious granny has taken ill and you've been very worried about her all week. During a visit, she says something to you that you didn't hear. Do you think you're going to say "what" to her in the same manner as you did to your obnoxious coworker? Of course not. Your tone will convey your affection for her. So as you can see, English speakers use tones every day too. They just don't have the importance that they do in Chinese. Because at the end of the day, no matter what tones the word "what" was said in, it still meant what, no matter what. This is not so in Mandarin. Mandarin uses tonal changes to change the word's meaning completely. So if you speak emotionally in Chinese, you run the risk of being misunderstood. You'll have to retrain your speech to avoid emotional changes in pitch when speaking Chinese. To demonstrate what I mean by this, let's take a look at this sentence. Does Mama scold the horse? All the words within the sentence have the same pinyin spelling, M-A. To convey the words correctly, the difference is purely tonal. Here, the word mama is properly said in a high or first tone, whereas horse is a low third tone. This example demonstrates how vital tones are in Chinese. Tones tell the listener what is being said. Don't dwell too much on the challenge tones present. Just dive in. You might feel a bit awkward at first, but if you put in the effort, tones will soon become your new norm. In a previous episode, I encouraged you to over-accentuate your voice as you begin the learning process. I still want you to do this, however, since you're probably not Ed Sheeran or Sia, please don't sing. Keep all your tones within your normal speaking range. If you're a man, you're naturally going to have a lower vocal range than a woman, so a woman's first tone will sound higher than yours. If you're a woman, you're naturally going to have a higher vocal range than a man, so a man's third tone will go lower than yours. Just keep reminding yourself to speak within your natural vocal range. But if you really want to sing, pause this video and go check out the Chinese song translations on our website and knock yourself out. No, seriously, the lesson page that accompanies this episode will contain videos and tools to help you master tones. So I'll not be demonstrating any Chinese today, but I do want to describe proper tones to you, including something you may not know about the third tone, and how Taiwanese people handle the neutral tone. Stick around after that, and I'll give you some advice on how to master the rhythm of speaking in Chinese quicker. The first tone is a high, level tone, so your voice should sound very flat and not rise up or drop. Thinking about how an old school robot talks is helpful, as their tone is unchanging, not falling or rising. As you can see in this diagram, the first tone should fall in the highest part of your voice range. A common rookie mistake is not going high enough, so if you can, go higher. The second tone starts in the middle of your voice range and sharply rises up to a higher tone. Think about how your tone does exactly this when asking questions in English. A question such as "what?" ends at a higher tone than it began. Pause the video and say "what?" out loud several times, making sure to pay attention to your voice rising at the tail end of it. Keep in mind that the second tone starts in the middle of your voice range, so don't make the mistake of starting out in too high of a voice. If you do, you'll not be able to rise sharply on the tail end as easily. In everyday speech, there are actually 2 versions of the third tone. a fact that my wife wished she would have known in the beginning. First, let's tackle the third tone that textbook after textbook teaches. It is also called the full third tone. Textbooks and many professional teachers will tell you that a third tone has two parts. It starts by going as low as you can in your vocal range, and then your voice should rise slightly at the end. If you're saying it right, you should be able to feel your chest vibrating. Now pay close attention to this. Although this is the most common way a third tone is taught, it is not the most common way natives say it. Natives only use the full third tone when a word is said in isolation or appears at the end of a sentence or phrase. In fact, most third tones are not full third tones. Let me say that again. Most third tones are not full third tones. Most often, it is the half third tone that you will hear in a conversation, in Chinese movies, and during listening practice. I know it makes absolutely no sense that most textbooks and many teachers fail to mention the existence of the half third tone, especially when it is the most commonly used. Rather than falling and rising, a half third tone is said by going down to the lowest part of your voice. That's it. You don't raise your voice at the end, and it's shorter than a full third tone. The fourth tone starts high and then sharply drops to a lower tone. I will now channel my inner Bruce Lee as I demonstrate the fourth tone while showing you my best karate chop. Yeah! Was that it? Yeah! 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 Okay, well, you get the point. I hope you're smiling. I got Ashley laughing. The neutral tone, or as some call it, the fifth tone, is said in the middle of your voice range in a light and short manner. Some English speakers find the neutral tone very difficult to produce properly. If you find that is the case with you, you may want to join the Taiwanese in their way of handling the neutral tone. Most people from Taiwan don't use neutral tones. Instead, they use the character's original tones. Mainland Chinese people don't have a problem understanding people from Taiwan, and they will understand you too if you omit a neutral tone. That wraps up my thoughts about tones. So here's the advice I promise that can help you master the rhythm of speaking in Chinese quicker. Practice your tones in pairs. I believe that is so important that I implore you to practice your tones in pairs. Real people speak in sentences, so practicing single syllable tones just doesn't cut it. So why don't I just ask you to practice sentences? While learning sentences quickly expands your vocabulary, using them for tones practice isn't ideal in the beginning. Think about it. If you can't pronounce two-syllable words correctly, you will slaughter sentences. Tones are just like everything else we learn in life. We start with baby steps and then press on to maturity. If you're not already using tone pairs practice in your learning program, do yourself a favor and start now. Best of all, we've already created learning materials to help you. The lesson page for this episode is now live on our website, and there's a link to it below. There, you will find our tone pairs practice video series with 20 episodes, printable PDFs, tables with clickable audio, and more. As you practice, remember to speak out loud and focus on letting the tones flow naturally. Practice again and again until you don't feel the need to pause between tonal changes. As you speak, you might also find it helpful to use your hands to gesture or imitate the direction of the tones, like when I was doing my karate chop. Be determined to spend the necessary time needed to perfect your tones. They are vital. Before you go, please take a moment to like and share this video with your friends. That's all for now. See you next time.